Your ankle and your foot and your knee and your hip all go together.
Absolutely.
When you screw up one of them, you screw up all of them.
Foot mobility is a massively neglected area by most people. It's no one trains their feet. But if you think about it, the foot is the base of it all.
Define us hunter squat real quick.
Hunter squat is a single leg squat where essentially you are squatting on one leg and in somewhat of a lunge position on the back leg. This allows you to move from a grounded position here to a standing position while maintaining a vertical spine.
This is important. I run into this position all the time. Other people call this other things. I can't remember what military guys call this because they use this with long guns where they're approaching something and they need to get down to the ground and they want to lower their profile, but they're not tipping forward and back. Barrel stays up, barrel stays on target, and they can stand up and they can move smoothly back and forth in this position. I used to do it when you bow hunt or rifle hunt. You tend to move from a wooded area, and anytime you transition into an open area like a field, you're moving to the edge and you're stopping to observe, but lowering your profile. You're not just standing in the middle of the field looking like an idiot, lower your profile. That's why I call it a hunter squat, because this is a position of rest. So high hunter squat, where the foot is rolled underneath, and low hunter squat, where you're gonna be here a while.
Yeah.
Fully resting, so it goes from flexion and extension of the ankle. This is useful for BJJ guys.
Yeah, this position is really, really common, especially if you're, you can pass guard from this position, you can finish single legs, it's a transition position. There's a lot of different ways that you would use the hunter squat on the mat. You would even essentially come up, stand up, you would get back to the ground with that same exact position. So it's useful for the mat itself, but there are tons of benefits that the hunter squat delivers. Number one, the most obvious is single leg strength, right? When you are now loading this position and driving through this leg, this front leg gets a lot of work. And depending on where you push through your foot, you're gonna feel it in a different part of the leg. If you drive through the ball of the foot right here, you're really gonna feel it right above the kneecap. If you drive more through your heel, you're gonna feel it more in the glute. But jiu-jitsu is also very dynamic. So it's unpredictable, so you want that resilience in your joints. And when you do the hunter squat, you're building all of the muscles right around the knee here, which is gonna make this more stable and more resilient for jiu-jitsu.
I think about this a lot. I focus on ankle and knee mobility a lot. I have severe leg injuries, like super severe. A full PCL disruption, full LCL disruption, right? That means those tendons and ligaments are gone, right? And they go back in, they cut your body apart in these huge cuts, and then they take dead people parts and they screw them in there with looks like a DeWalt screw gun, right? They just screw in some parts, but they never quite get the length tension right because the person that they took that piece of tissue from was not exactly your size. Yeah. So it's kind of right. And your job is to make that joint stronger forever because that is now a weak point that you are gonna have. When I ripped my leg went that way. Not good, right? That way. Wow. And then I put it back in myself. Don't do that. It's very bad. You can accidentally kill yourself by cutting the artery in half and you'll bleed out in 30 seconds. Didn't know that, relocated myself, walked to the hospital. Also, don't do that.
Walked to the hospital?
I put a board on my leg and duct taped it up. But when I finally got surgery, they wouldn't believe that I was hurt because I walked there, right? And so they wouldn't give me an MRI because that's the way that the world works. And it took me 2 months, 3 months to get an MRI. So I just was walking around on this super, super dangerous injury, which caused a lot of issue. When I finally got surgery, it took 3. It took 1.5 years. I didn't walk for almost 6 months. The thing that really killed me trying to get back was the joint had frozen. I think that's the acromial joint in your ankle, had frozen from simply not moving because you have your leg up for months at a time. The hunter squat is super key because just moving from a lunge and driving this knee forward creates more movement in this joint until we can finally get back to the point where we can get our knee equal with our toe. So part of my ongoing, never-ending therapy is hunter squats twice a week forever. I never get to quit, because the second I quit, this knee stops moving right, then the hip goes, then the ankle goes, then you start seeing me, I start limping around like I'm 90. So I have to work on the movement of the ankle with load in a useful way, and then we get to work on that drive, work on that single leg strength over and over and over again. Work on it body weight, work on it with kettlebells, introduce a kettlebell to the mix to force you into vertical spine, introduce clubs, and make as many versions of club movement in this position as you possibly can. Shield cast, drive up, focus on that leg squeeze, do an equal amount on both sides. Your ankle and your foot and your knee and your hip all go together.
Absolutely.
When you screw up one of them, you screw up all of them. And then you never get to stop trying to force them back together.
Foot mobility is a massively neglected area by most people. It's no one trains their feet. But if you think about it, the foot is the base of it all. And there's actually, if you're limited in your pronation, right, your ankle mobility is limited, it can affect things up the chain. That pronation of your foot flattening is actually a trigger for things to happen when you are walking. So that pronation means the foot collapses down, right? The arch collapses down.
So this right here is what we're looking at. This collapse, we see this all the time. If I see this, you'll see this toe move inward, this knee will collapse inward. I know that there will be pain in the system at some point. If I see this at all, the goal is to teach that how to fire. I do it by single arm, heavy club swinging. You have strategies that are more specific to what you do.
Well, I think you can get a lot of your foot mobility needs just through doing the hunter squat. One thing that I like to do here, big toe extension, meaning your ability of your big toe to do that is super valuable. I mean, a lot for performance. Like if you were doing jujitsu, right, and you needed to take someone down, you're pushing off the mat. If you were in side control, holding someone, you want to be able to drive into the mat, keep weight on your opponent. So your ability to have big toe extension is essential. If you are going to load the hunter squat, your goal here is to sit back, because you want to keep a vertical spine. Sit back on that toe, which if you've never done this before, can be very, very challenging, right? So we're going to here, drive up, come down, and sit back. And now I have all of my weight coming through here. So a simple drill that I like to do is just get in this position like this, okay? So you can start hands and knees and then just drive one leg back, and I'm pushing my weight into my big toe, right in the ball of my foot, and now I'm driving up. So we're just gonna mobilize like this. And at first, you might not be able to get that far, and you might not be able to put a lot of weight onto the toe, but over time, you're going to mobilize the big toe, stretch out the bottoms of your feet, and then have the ability to do something like a loaded hunter squat. I think the feet are super important, and getting foot mobility is key to lower body movement. And so I do this definitely before every grappling session that I do. And then I also do it before any lower body session. If you were to try to foot lock me now,
oh yeah,
if the more mobility and resilience that I have here, the less likely I'm gonna get hurt, and the less likely you're gonna be able to tap me. I can tell if a guy's gonna tap based on how tight his ankles are.
Oh yeah.
I can grab a guy's foot and tell, oh man, he's gonna tap very soon, because he's just locked up in the foot. He doesn't have the ability to withstand a lot of force coming down on the foot. So it's also beneficial for actual defense and use cases on the mat.
We've been talking about how beneficial hunter squat is. Load it in mobility drills load it with kettlebells, which is an intermediate weight. You can go heavier weight and you're shoving weight on one side of the spine, creates better core control. You can load it with a club. Club works very, very well because you can introduce the shield cast into the movement pattern. So kettlebell and club, and he had a great idea, which was turn it from a push into a pull, introducing a cable machine. We got a cable machine from Bells of Steel over here, and he's gonna demonstrate us that.
So we can, just like Mark was saying, we can absolutely do pushes, we can do front presses, we can do shield casts in the bottom of a hunter squat, but we can also do pulls too. So you would just simply assume the hunter squat position next to a cable machine, set up your cable and start to row here. One thing I like to do is this really stretches out this line, and you can coordinate the breathing so that you can expand this area even more. So as I'm reaching, I'm breathing in, expanding all this, and as I pull, I close it all. So it's so now we're turning this position where we've just explained all of the benefits for foot health, knee health, spine health, because again, you're keeping that vertical spine, and we're adding a strength exercise to it where you can really load that up. You could also change the position of where the cable is to a horizontal row. You could do kind of like more of at an angle, or you could even go fully vertical and turn the hunter squat position into a strength exercise.
Two versions, two old tricks that I used to use when I used to work with circus performers or actors is cable machines do something super fun, drop setting. So you can start at the first plate, get into position, have one height, pull 10 times. Do both sides, go up a plate. Go all the way up until you can get down to maybe 8 reps, so you're max loading it, and then you start drop setting it. You start pulling plates off. You can get in 10 to 15 minutes of specific training, and every time you turn a cable into a one-sided activity, it is a core crunch, core control. It turns it immediately into what I like to call sexy training. If you want to give somebody abs really quick, double kneeling, single-sided pull down, but now turning it into hunter squat, turns it into sexy training that is position specific. The goal with training is always to kill as many birds with one stone as possible, and something like this will kill about 17 birds with one stone.